Hi dear friends, let's see autonomic nervous system. I will tell you complete function and drugs within 5-10 minutes. In life you will never confuse and you will never forget about the functions and drugs of this autonomic nervous system. So now see here. Before understanding autonomic nervous system, what is nervous system? I will tell you. Now nervous system principally have three functions, but first understand this example. This is amoeba. Amoeba lives in water, and in water, suppose some food is there near amoeba, it will sense chemically. Okay. First, amoeba will sense it. Here in this figure, there is a bacteria near the amoeba. Amoeba will sense that there is a food. Amoeba will move towards that food. Now, after movement, amoeba will before movement also he take decision. First, he sense the food. Second, he take the decision, and third, amoeba takes the action. Okay. Now three things are there. See here in this example, you can see that amoeba sense bacterium. It moves towards the bacterium. It produces pseudopods. It enlarges pseudopods around the food. Then pseudopods fuse and food is taken inside the amoeba. Now this is the story. But I want to tell you another thing. Here what happens is, first thing is amoeba sense the food. Number one. Number two, then amoeba decides that we have to eat the food, and for that we have to move towards food, then produce pseudopod, etc. First decision is there, and later on actually it moves, produce pseudopods around the food and take the food inside. So that is the action. Sense, decide, and action. Action is called motor. Okay. So this is the nervous system. What is nervous system is? Basically, it is nerve system. Nervous system has three functions. It senses, it decides, and then it acts. Or there is a motor division, there is a sensor division, and there are centers to take decision. This is about the nervous system. Nervous system are of three types in our body. Why? Observe, no logic behind. Central nervous system is there, autonomic nervous system is there, and peripheral nervous system. In little better sense, to understand, whatever action we take, our knowingly we take decision, like lifting a pen. So that is the voluntary decision. So voluntary nervous system. Some decisions we cannot take. For example, while eating food, salivary secretion we cannot decide, or movement of intestine or stomach we cannot decide. Stomach gastric juice secretion we cannot decide. These are involuntary functions or automatic function which occur, and this automatic function which system functions or regulates is autonomic nervous system. So I am using here a specific word, regulate. I will tell shortly about this word, regulation. And third type of nervous system is peripheral nervous system. Why, where, how, etc. About that we'll see later, but its function is basically reflex action. You must have seen that if we suddenly put a finger on a flame, then suddenly we will withdraw the finger without any thinking. That is the reflex action to protect ourselves. So this is function of the peripheral nerve. There are three types of nervous system. Number one, voluntary, central nervous system, involuntary, and third is the peripheral nervous system. Out of this, the second, autonomic nervous system, we are now trying to study. Okay. Now in this nervous system, like all these three nervous systems will have three divisions, just like I have told you in this example of amoeba. They can sense, or they will sense, they will decide, and they will act. So sensory decision, sensory division, decision taken centers, and motor division. These are three divisions of the autonomic nervous system. So here, sensory are receptors, center are decision makers, and effectors are. Now motor means bringing action. How nervous system bring action is only by two ways. Either there will be muscle or there will be gland. Got the point? Which are the glands? Not endocrine gland, exocrine gland. Gland with the duct are under control of the nervous system. Endocrine are separately controlled by endocrine gland. Okay, pituitary. Here, our motor organs or motor nervous system have effector organs. sensory system will have receptors, and motor system will have effectors. Effectors are muscle and gland. Got the point? In voluntary nervous system, there are skeletal muscle. In involuntary or autonomic nervous system, there are smooth muscles and exocrine gland, for example, salivary gland. Now, this much only understand. Later on, many things you will correlate. You will come to the next point now. Here, now I told you autonomic nervous system has three divisions. But which is the most important? We want to study the function. We want to know the function. So function is obviously controlled by motor division. Now motor division do not function in only one way. It functions in two ways. Either of the two actions, or you can say that motor division have two hands. One is sympathetic, other is parasympathetic. But why? And understand, it is done by nature. We have just observed. Got the point? One hand is parasympathetic and other is sympathetic. Why I am saying hand? Because they are motor, they are doing action. With the help of whom they are doing action? They are doing action with the help of smooth muscles and exocrine glands. Got the point? They are using these two effectors to bring all automatic or voluntary, involuntary actions of our body. So the system which controls involuntary actions in our body is called autonomic nervous system. But one word specifically I used, that is regulate. Now focus on this word. What is the meaning of regulate? Regulate means these organs function is either increased or decreased. Got the point? Function of an organ is either increased or decreased by this nervous system. So it is called regulation. How? Gradually we will understand, but try to understand what is the function of nervous system is to regulate. Got it? So autonomic nervous system also regulate. So forget everything, get relaxed. I told you there are three types of nervous system. One is the autonomic nervous system. Next, I was telling you that every nervous system have three parts, three divisions. Sensory, those are receptors. Next is the centers, and which will take the decision. And last part is the motor system, which have effector organs. Now, how organ will bring effect? There will be muscle or gland. In case of ANS, it is only smooth muscle, involuntary muscles. And next, glands are exocrine gland with the duct. For example, salivary gland. There are many glands. Which are those? How are those? We will see. But first, I am telling you that it is a motor division, work through effector organs. But motor division can work only by two ways of action, either parasympathetic or sympathetic. You will ask, why not both? In healthy condition, both works, but in emergency, one hand work excessively. Okay. Now, what I have just told you now, in emergency, one hand work excessively, and normally both hands in balanced state, both hands work simultaneous. But when emergency or during particular function, one hand is upper hand, or one hand works more, other hand works less, and its expression are revealed. But understand, I am telling you about the motor division. Motor division has two hands, one is sympathetic, other is parasympathetic. What is that? Shortly I will tell you. I told you that one hand function excessive in emergency. How? Just understand one emergency and you will understand complete autonomic nervous system. So we will go here. I will tell you example. For example, you are going into a forest. Okay. Into a forest, you are going deep. You are just walking. Nobody is with you. And suddenly you see a lion in front, a roaring lion. His face comes in front of you. Now you will be suddenly afraid. Now there are two kinds of reaction. Only two types of people are there, not third type. Okay. First kind of person is afraid. He starts shivering. His skin starts sweating. Okay, profuse sweating is there. Eyes are prominent. Okay, and mouth is dry, and his heart rate will increase. Blood pressure will increase. Okay, he will start shivering like that. Got it? This is one kind of response. So just now I told you one response: shivering, increase heart rate, increase blood, less sweating is there, skin is hot and mouth is dry. Eyes are, pupils are dilated. Next kind of response is there. Some people suddenly see a tiger or lion in front of them, suddenly faints. Okay, they collapse. After collapsing, the skin becomes pale. It looks pale. Okay, blood flow decreases. Then skin is cold. Mouth becomes watery. Salivation starts. Heart rate decrease. Blood pressure decrease. Respiratory rate decrease. Got that point? There are only two kind of response. Why? Nature has created such arrangement. Now I told you just now that these are the two hands. One hand will work excessive. But in emergency, one will work excessive. Either there will be sympathetic or parasympathetic. If sympathetic, there will be tremors, shivering, heart rate, blood pressure, respiratory rate, everything increase. In other condition, person will faint, heart rate, blood pressure, respiratory rate will decrease. That is the parasympathetic. Got the point? So try to understand this thing happens. Now, if you want to understand all sympathetic and all parasympathetic actions, what you need to understand? You need to understand that what is the principle why this system function like that. Okay? So if you understand the principle, all actions of sympathetic and parasympathetic, you will understand. I will tell you the principle. What is the principle? I told you motor division of ANS. See here. First, motor division of ANS will have sympathetic and parasympathetic division. In health, both works equally balanced. In emergency, either one or work more. Certain encounter of lion, I just now told you the example. Coming, what is the principle why they function? See here, this is the basic principle. Autonomic nervous system, motor division, two parts, sympathetic, parasympathetic principles. Sympathetic, now read here carefully, spend energy and don't generate energy. Now see, not only one principle, but there are two principles. Spend energy and do not generate energy. Which is the system which will generate energy? It is the gastrointestinal tract. Who is assisting to gastrointestinal tract for functioning? Glands. Right from salivary glands to gastric gland to pancreatic gland, liver, etc. Everybody is assisting gastrointestinal function. And why gastrointestinal function I am specifically telling? The second principle is do not generate energy. So GIT generate. So in sympathetic activity, or if sympathetic overactivity occurs in a person, GIT activity will decrease. So all glands from top to bottom which are supporting GIT, like salivary gland, secretion will decrease, mouth will be dry. Second, gastric glands, gastric secretion will be decreased, gastric juice acid secretion will decrease. Okay, pancreatic juice secretion will be decreased, and liver will not pump bile into intestine. How bile is pumped? By contraction of the gallbladder. Understand? Now, I told you about the half principle, or out of two, only one principle I told you about the GI activity. What will happen that so that digestion and GI activity do not occur, because it do not want to generate energy. So what is that? Second thing, GI activity will be decreased, means stomach movement will not occur, peristalsis will not occur. Rather than that, sphincters will constrict. So food from stomach will not move further. Okay. So all sphincters will constrict and peristalsis will decrease. GI motility will halt. It will stop or not stop, much more decrease. Why? Do not want to generate energy. So I told you now all actions from top to bottom about glands, salivary gland, gastric gland, pancreatic gland, and liver, bile juice pumping organ, that is the gallbladder. So these all functions will decrease. Decrease salivary secretion, decrease acid pepsin secretion, decrease mucus secretion from stomach, decrease bicarbonate and digestive enzyme secretion by pancreas, and decrease pumping by the gallbladder. So these are actions. Next, decrease motility of stomach and small intestine. Sphincters will constrict, circular sphincters will constrict, and longitudinal muscles will relax, which lead to peristalsis. So these are actions on GIT and gland of sympathetic. Now I will tell you about the first principle. What is the first principle of sympathetic? Spend energy Now, spend energy. How? Spending energy, all activities of the body has to be increased. Okay, blood circulation in the skin has to be increased. Skin will become red, hot, and flush. Okay, so flush means red and hot. Okay, next thing. Now, if there is uh, flushing and hot redness in the skin, you can see it is the sympathetic overactivity. Okay, you will see many times if somebody is angry, his face becomes red. So that is the sympathetic overactivity. Next, heart rate will increase, blood pressure will increase, respiratory rate will increase, all increase to spend energy. Got the point? So these are major actions of, now we will first list the organs, and on individual organ we will see the function. But I am telling you, these are all sympathetic major actions to spend energy. Got the point? Blood pressure increase, heart rate increase, respiratory rate increase. Mouth becomes dry, skin becomes hot and flushed. Got the point? GI activity is decreased, and assisting glands of GI, all secretions are decreased. So this is about the sympathetic. So parasympathetic, exactly opposite principles. Now, what are the principles of parasympathetic? First is do not generate energy. Sorry, generate energy and do not spend energy. Save energy. Got the point? Sympathetic, spend energy. Here, save energy. So parasympathetic system is there, which say why this happens. This is observed. No logic for that. It observed. It occurs in our body. With short example, I will tell you. I will clear the point. But first, understand the principle. If you understand principle, whole ANS will understand. So parasympathetic generates energy. So activity of the glands which support GI activity and GI movement, everything will be increased. And second thing, that if it generates energy, GI activity is increased. If do not spend energy, every activity, other activity will be decreased. Like consciousness will be decreased, person will fade. Okay, it will become unconscious, it will fall down, and skin becomes cold. Got the point? Cold, heart rate decrease, blood pressure decrease, respiratory rate decrease, everything is decreased. So this response philosophically is called a flight response, to run away from the situation, do not face the situation. And sympathetic, heart rate increase, blood pressure increase, that is called the fight response. Got the point? So that is called fight response. Sympathetic. Parasympathetic is just she become unconscious, so that is called run away from the situation. So this is about two, sympathetic and parasympathetic. If these two principles you just understand, keep in mind, everything will be crystal clear. Got the point? I told you most of the organs. We will see organs in the figure just now. Okay. First, I will show you gross figure. See, this is the head neck face. First, we will see the segment of body, head neck face. This is the thorax. This is the abdomen. In thorax, we want to list now organs. Organs who will have smooth muscles or they will have exocrine glands. Only two effectors we want to search, and we will get all the organs. That is the key. You will only search for effector, smooth muscle and exocrine gland, and all organs you can list. In head neck face, there is only eyes. In that, iris is there. Iris is having involuntary muscle. Okay, eyes having involuntary muscle called iris. Iris have further two kind of muscles. One is circular muscles. If it contract, its aperture will decrease. And there are longitudinal muscles. If they contract, then aperture is wide. Got the point? So first I am telling you, first body segment, head neck face. Smooth muscles is iris, and then glands are there. Lacrimal glands, salivary glands are there. These are the glands, exocrine glands, which are present in the head neck face. Why we are saying this? Our intention is to list organs of autonomic nervous system. Next, I told you about the thorax. In thorax, there are two systems, respiratory system and cardiovascular system. Out of that, we'll see respiratory. In respiratory system, which is the part where there are smooth muscles? Only trachea. In lungs, there are no muscles, nothing. And even no glands. But in trachea, there are glands also, mucus secreting goblet cells. Unicellular glands are there. And next, In trachea, there are smooth circular muscles. Got the point? If they contract, bronchus will contract. That is called bronchoconstriction, and person will have difficulty in the breathing. Got the point? So in respiratory system, we got two things. One is muscle and one is gland. Gland are unicellular mucus secreting cells or mucus secreting glands, goblet cells. Next is smooth circular muscles in the trachea. Okay, in trachea there are cartilages. In between cartilages there are smooth muscles. So this is the respiratory system, ANS organs, effector organs. Next we will come to heart. In heart there are three kind of tissue. First is the pacemaker and conduction tissue. Got the point? Pacemaker, conduction tissue, and contractile element of the heart. There are three types of tissue. So we have to see sympathetic, parasympathetic action at all these three places. Got the point? Next, now heart and respiratory system is finished. In the thorax, these are only autonomic organs in thorax segment. Now coming to the third segment. In third segment, there is a GIT, gastrointestinal tract. Next is the urinary tract, and next is the genital. Got the point? Now, gastrointestinal tract, we know that there are smooth circular muscles, smooth longitudinal muscles. Got smooth muscles are there. Plus, there are glands like liver, pancreas, excreting glands, and own mucus secreting glands of the GIT. Then in urinary tract, in kidney nothing is there, but in ureter there are smooth muscle. But most important is the urinary bladder. Bladder is the smooth muscle and it has sphincters. Got the point? So both will contract at different times. Okay, opposite action will be there, sphincter and the bladder muscles. When bladder contracts, sphincter relax. When sphincter contracts, bladder relax. Got the point? We will see detail just shortly now. Then, so I was talking about the urinary system. Before that, I told you about the gastrointestinal system, and third was the genital. In genital tract, now we just focus on the uterus. Most important organ is uterus, which hold the product of conception, that is the fetus. Got the point? It holds the fetus, product of conception. See now, I told you about three body segments. This is the only scope of ANS, and these are the only effector organs of ANS. Now, if you want to see the organs one by one like this, these are the organs. Got the point? Hair, eyes, iris. These are lacrimal gland. These are salivary gland in head, neck, face. In thorax, only trachea and the mucous glands. In heart, there is heart and also blood vessels. Okay, in heart there are three types of tissue: pacemaker, conduction tissue, and contractile musculature. Then I am telling you about that abdomen. In abdomen, three systems: GIT, UT, and GT. Now in GIT, glands and muscles are there. Okay, so intestine, stomach, small and large intestine, and assisting gland like pancreas and liver. Now in liver, only the thing which stores the bile that is important to us, that is the gallbladder. And next, urinary tract. In urinary tract, the most important is the bladder here. Okay. See here, bladder, ureters, and this is the sphincter. Okay, so urinary bladder, urethra, these are the things. And in genital system, this is the uterus. Got the point? So these are all organs which are having, or these are controlled, not controlled, I will say regulated. The function either increase or decrease. How increase, decrease? Just now I told you. Heart rate increase, heart rate decrease. Respiratory increase, respiratory decrease. This how it is regulated. Got the point? So these are the organs. If you want to see the list, so these are the list. Eyes, lacrimal gland, mucus, this submandibular, submaxillary gland, okay, parotid gland. These are the salivary gland, three salivary gland. Then heart, then larynx, trachea, esophagus, stomach, then liver, pancreas, adrenal gland, small intestine, large intestine. Okay, so there are smooth muscles and glands here. And this is the gonads, means uterus here. And then this is the bladder, urinary bladder. So these are the organs. I am showing the list. Here I show you the organ. Got the point? Now, coming to what are the actions. Now, before actions, I will tell you when autonomic nervous system works throughout the day. I will tell you with three contrasting examples. Now, you will see two columns of picture. Now, in this column, Here people are rushing to office. So what will happen to heart rate? Increase, blood pressure increase, respiratory rate increase. Which system is activated in the on this side? This is the sympathetic nervous system. At the point. But opposite. Suppose you from college you go to home relaxed, you take the coffee in your hand, just you close the eyes. So what happens to your iris? It constrict, less light entry into eyes. Just you will feel skin will be cold. You will take a sip of coffee, mucus secretion will be increased, GI activity, peristalsis will be increased. Got the point? Again, I told you principle: generate energy and do not spend energy, save energy. So your heart rate increase, heart rate decrease, blood pressure decrease, everything is relaxed. So this is your parasympathetic activity. So in your body, when you relax after college and go home and just take a sip of coffee, which system is active? Parasympathetic more active. Heart rate decrease, respiratory decrease, blood pressure decrease. But early in the morning, when you are rushing to your college or school or office, then that time heart rate increase, blood pressure increase, okay, and body's warm temperature is there. So which system is active? Sympathetic. Got the point? Similarly, now I am teaching you, my heart rate increase, blood pressure increase, okay, respiratory rate is increase. So my sympathetic system is active. Now you are sitting quite comfortable, maybe sleeping. So your heart rate decrease, blood pressure decrease, and respiratory decrease. You are having parasympathetic. Now I am saying contrasting examples. Or suppose in school, college, office, people have quarrel. If they fight, their heart rate will increase, mouth will be dry, skin will be warm, heart rate, blood pressure, respiratory rate, everything is increased. This is the sympathetic example. And if you just go home, you pick up your pet and just love your pet, that time heart rate decrease, blood pressure decrease. Okay, you're in relaxed mode, heart rate, blood pressure, respiratory, everything is decreased. Which system is active? Parasympathetic. So same here, I told you with the emergency example of the line. One is shivering, heart rate increase, blood pressure increase, sweating is there, etc. In other case, there is person see a line in front and suddenly faints, heart rate, blood pressure, respiratory rate, everything will be decreased. So that is the flight response, run away, and other is shivering, blood pressure increase, that is the fight response. Got the point? So throughout the day, these systems are working in our body in this way, in these examples. Now try to think over these examples in silence. You will understand much more about them. But all actions, what is difficult for student is they don't remember all actions. Why they don't remember all actions? Because they don't try to remember the principle. Just you have to remember the principle. Do not generate energy and spend energy. Sympathetic. Every action you will be able to recall. Now, where action occurs? On those organs just now I have shown in the list. Got the point? So I have even told you about the actions. What happens is, see, I will once again tell you all actions and see here. I have just prepared a chart here. Now this is a chart. Here I have written here the principle. Sympathetic, spend energy, do not generate energy. Parasympathetic, save energy, generate energy. Now here I have written body segment, organs or effector organs. In head, neck, face, smooth muscles, iris. Pupil dilate, longitudinal muscles contract. Where? In sympathetic. Why? Because more light will come inside, because it has to spend energy for vision. You have to have more light. So it take light inside to spend energy in the vision. Understand the principal correlation? This is the thing. Then next is mouth becomes dry. Mouth becomes dry, face is red and warm. Why? Do not generate energy, so don't assess the activity of GIT, so mouth is dry. Lacrimal secretion is dry. It will not also occur. And face is red because it wants to spend energy. It will make whole body warm. Got the point? And on contrary, even muscle shivering, so spend energy. Now shivering is there to increase the temperature of body. It wants to spend energy. That is the reason. So about parasympathetic, exactly opposite. Pupil will constrict, circular muscles will constrict in pupil, and pinpoint pupil will be there. Okay. So aperture of the pupil will be just small opening will be there. Then there will be salivation, excessive salivation is there, face is pale and cold. So these are actions parasympathetic on head, neck, face. I told you about the sympathetic. In thorax, see smooth muscles, trachea. What happens? Now parasympathetic want to spend energy, so increase respiratory rate. To increase respiratory rate, spend energy. Principle is spend energy. So it has to dilate the trachea. Trachea will dilate in sympathetic. Opposite will happen in parasympathetic. If parasympathetic activity, trachea will become narrow, constrict, and wheezing sound like whistling will be there, because air will be less inside and person will feel breathless if there is parasympathetic activity. Got the point? So there is bronchoconstriction and increased mucus secretion, and here bronchodilation. In cardiac action, muscles, pacemaker, conducting tissue. Now, in sympathetic, it wants to spend. So, pacemaker will generate more impulse, heart rate will increase. Rate of conduction of impulse throughout the heart will be increased. There are chances of tachyarrhythmia. And third, myocardial muscles will contract forcefully, so blood pressure will increase. Opposite will be happening in parasympathetic. Rate of generation of impulse decrease, so heart rate decrease. Rate of conduction of impulse will decrease, so there can be bradyarrhythmia or bradycardia. And third, we'll say cardiac muscles, force of contraction is decreased, so blood pressure will be decreased. Got the point? But it will be a vital thing. Your circulation will stop. So what nature has done is, it has put more sympathetic effect on the heart than the parasympathetic. Got the point? So on few organs, either sympathetic or parasympathetic, more response is there. Got the point? Like on GIT, sympathetic response is less, parasympathetic will be more. But on heart, sympathetic is more, parasympathetic is less. Why? If you think yourself, by common sense, you will understand that if parasympathetic would have caused much more damaging effect on the circulatory system, person may die immediately. To prevent that, parasympathetic impact on heart is less. Okay. So this is about the thorax. Now I am talking about the abdomen. In abdomen, GIT, smooth muscles. Now in sympathetic, do not generate energy, so no peristalsis. So what happens? Longitudinal muscles which cause peristalsis will relax, and sphincters which constrict, they remain constricted, so food do not move, so no digestion. Got the point? So this is the sympathetic action. Next, gastric secretion, pancreatic secretion, salivary secretion, everything will be decreased, so mouth will be dry. Not even eyes will be dry, lacrimal secretion. Next, what effect on parasympathetic? To generate energy, heart, say GI activity will be increased, peristalsis increase, stomach will secrete more acid and pepsin, mucus secretion is increased, salivary secretion is increased, and pancreatic secretion is increased, gallbladder will constrict, and the sphincter, biliary sphincters will relax. That is the effect of parasympathetic. Next is urinary system and that bladder. Now to hold waste product of metabolism, that is urine, to hold inside the body, energy spending is required. For that, in sympathetic, to spend energy, bladder is relaxed, sphincter of the bladder is contract. While in parasympathetic, bladder will constrict, sphincter will relax to throw the waste product outside, so that we don't have to spend energy on holding waste product. Principally it acts. So action on bladder, if you want to understand, you have to remember the principle. Got the point? And the next thing will be genital tract. Now, keeping the product of conception, that is a fetus inside the uterus, energy has to be spent. So if sympathetic activated, sympathetic have to spend energy, it will relax the uterus and it will keep the product of conception. But about this, we won't go much detail right now, but just grossly understand this. Okay. While in parasympathetic, it will increase the contractility of the uterus. Got the point? So these are all actions. Now from right top to bottom in this chart, you can see all actions. But these all actions you will only remember only if you understand these principles which I have written here, sympathetic and parasympathetic. Got the point? So try to just focus on the principles, then try to focus throughout your day which sympathetic parasympathetic activity you undergo. Now, why it happens? Who are responsible? Are these nerves responsible? I am saying that there are neurotransmitters which will act on these organs. For example, if sympathetic is activated, heart rate is increased. Do that nerve tell to heart that now you just increase your heart pumping? No. It occurs through chemical. These chemicals are neurotransmitters. So these are the chemicals secreted by respective sympathetic parasympathetic nerve. Got the point? At that organ, and that organ in response to these chemicals give us action. Okay, just now I told you action. Those actions are shown due to these neurotransmitter chemicals. Here now, just see parasympathetic. Sorry, here sympathetic nervous system will have chemical adrenaline, noradrenaline, and parasympathetic will have acetylcholine as a neurotransmitter. Got the point? So parasympathetic neurotransmitter is acetylcholine. Why? We observed, okay, by chemical analysis, we observed that during parasympathetic activity, acetylcholine works, and during sympathetic activity, adrenaline, noradrenaline work. And these two, you know that where they are secreted? They are secreted in the suprarenal gland. Suprarenal gland or adrenal gland, hence their name is adrenaline, noradrenaline. Now names are different, but actions are same. Okay, only one action is different. Adrenaline will more work on heart, and noradrenaline more work on blood vessels. Okay, the action on vessel is remaining. What can be the action? To spend energy, blood vessel will constrict. So in sympathetic, blood vessel will constrict and blood pressure will increase. Got the point? In parasympathetic, parasympathetic is less dominant action on blood vessel. It will lead to relaxation of blood vessel. Got the point? So, except on face. On face, things are different. Why? How? That's a very minor point. Later on, you can focus on that. But right now, just understand that in sympathetic, the chemical is adrenaline, noradrenaline. Names are different, but both are same. Only one action is different. Adrenaline work more on heart, noradrenaline more on vessels. It is observed. No logic for that. In parasympathetic, acetylcholine is secreted at the nerve endings. Parasympathetic nerve endings secrete acetylcholine. Why? Observed. No logic for that. And all actions like decrease heart rate, blood pressure are because of this chemical. Okay, acetylcholine. Got the point? So these are the neurotransmitters. So now you must be having some curiosity that if suppose somebody is having excessive parasympathetic activity, we should give him sympathetic drug so that activity will be reversed. But no, dear friends, it do not happen. Okay. In pharmacology, if a thing is working somewhere, we say it is agonist. So we don't have to give opposite thing. Okay, means we don't have to give a chemical which is having opposite action. We will just block the action of agonist. So a chemical which block the action of agonist is called antagonist. It is not having its own opposite action. How it functions? Suppose somebody is having a fever. Now fever is there due to prostaglandins. PG. Prostaglandins are chemicals which are released after damage to tissue in fever. By bacteria comes to, for example, you have rhinitis. These cells are dead and they will release prostaglandin. This prostaglandin is sensed by cell. Now prostaglandin will attach here. This is called a receptor. It will stimulate the receptor. Now cell will burn more glucose and heat will be produced, that we say as fever. Understand this simple example. Bacteria come inside our body in rhinitis. It will damage cells. Cells are damaged. Prostaglandin is released. Why? Observe, no logic for that. Prostaglandin attached to cell and promote them to metabolize more glucose. More glucose is burned, heat is increased. Got the point? Now, what we do is we give one thing, paracetamol. Everybody knows paracetamol. Okay. This paracetamol, what this paracetamol do is, this paracetamol have more attraction for this receptor, okay, PG receptor than PG. So it will go to this receptor, it will occupy the receptor, it will not allow prostaglandin to attach there and work. Got the point? So normally prostaglandins stimulate this receptor. So prostaglandins are called, these are called agonists. And paracetamol here attach here and block the action. So it is called antagonist. Now try to understand what is the significance I am telling you. If you are having excessive action of acetylcholine, you will give anticholinergic drug, that is the antagonist of acetylcholine. You will not give the adrenaline. Understand? If there is excessive adrenaline and its actions in somebody's body, why? We will see later. But if adrenaline is excess and its action are excess, then we will not give acetylcholine. We will give anti-adrenergic drug. We have to just block the action of adrenaline. So we will require the antagonist. Okay. So just now I told you how antagonist function. It just block the activities. So this is the antagonist we have to give. So that is the same principle for drugs of autonomic nervous system. So I am just giving you a brief idea how drugs are, or how many types of drugs are there in autonomic nervous system. There are two types of drugs: sympathetic drug, parasympathetic drug. But here, see, in parasympathetic, one will be parasympathetic, more action, and if sometimes more action is there, we will give another drug. So these are called cholinergic, acetylcholine like actions, cholinergic, and we want to give antagonist of it, anticholinergic. Got the point? So these are agonists. We will give antagonist. Similarly, in sympathetic nervous system, there are two kind of drug: adrenergic, which will bring the action of adrenaline, and there are anti-adrenergic, which will block the action of adrenaline. Got the point? And there are alpha blocker, beta blocker. You may have heard sometimes blood pressure drugs. These are for antihypertensive drugs. If you haven't heard, no problem. Just I was telling you the example. But I am telling you that if adrenaline is excess, it is not the case that you will give cholinergic drug. You will give anti-adrenergic. If acetylcholine is more, it is not the case that you will give adrenaline. If cholinergic actions are more in the body and you want to decrease that, you will give antagonist, that is the anticholinergic drug. So this is the principle of autonomic nervous system drugs. So shortly we will recall, I told you about the autonomic nervous system. Before that, it was essential to tell you about the nervous system. So nervous system has three divisions. So autonomic nervous system is one of the type of nervous system. Other we won't see here. Okay. Here we are seeing only autonomic nervous system. Autonomic means automatic functions. Just here I told you automatic functions it regulates. That is the involuntary function. Involuntary function where in these three body segments: head, neck, face, thorax and abdomen. Now here, just now see, this is the sensory receptors. It will give brain message to brain, that is the center. So this is the sensory division, this is the center, and this is the motor division. Now in motor division of autonomic nervous system is of two types. It is either sympathetic or parasympathetic. Got the point? So that was the thing I was telling. So motor division work through effector organs. Effector organs have two kinds of action. Either they will work sympathetic or they will work parasympathetic. Their principle I told you. Now this depending on this principle, you will understand that how they bring the actions. So this action chart, but where they bring the action, for that you need to understand these organs. Okay. So these all organs I told you listed. When this system start work I told you with the example of extreme emergency, how are the functions, and these are the organs listed here, and these are the all actions. I told you about the sympathetic, parasympathetic, and we have seen how these drugs act, or what are, or how this system act. These act through the neurotransmitter chemicals through neurons. These are called neurotransmitters. So sympathetic will act through the adrenaline, noradrenaline. Actions are same, name is different. Parasympathetic act through acetylcholine. So which actions? Just now what actions we have listed, depending on the principle, those actions are of acetylcholine, and those actions under sympathetic were actions of adrenaline, noradrenaline. Got the point? Then some difference just now like this I told you, and I told you about the drugs. Now I told you for that antagonist concept. Here is the receptor. Drug binds to receptor and stimulate the cell. There is other drug which will bind instead of this drug here, because it has more attraction power. It binds here and block the action of this drug. So this drug which brings the action is called agonist. Who block the action is called antagonist. So I told you how is the treatment. If cholinergic excess is there, you will not give sympathetic. You will give anticholinergic. If there is sympathetic excess, you will not give cholinergic. You will give antisympathetic. That is the antagonist. So these how there are 4 types of drugs in autonomic nervous system. If you want to learn more about these drugs in detail, now let me tell you. Just tell me in the comments, and I will bring you more videos of that. So here we'll stop.